I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past and present. Welcome back to another episode of the Project Life podcast. Today I'm joined with a special guest to talk about home building. So Alysha Sharp, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I know this is a topic that we've talked about on and on for years now. We've both built houses together around the same time, really, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
The first one you guys built was before my partner built his, and we were only a couple of doors away from each other.
It was literally like, what, three doors, would you say? Yeah.
3 doors away, which is pretty crazy. But we've known each other since high school as well, so that's exciting to see each other go through this journey.
We, when was that? 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, I think we built.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. Long time ago. Early 20s and what we're now early 30s. Cringe. Okay. Well, let's better start getting into the episode and actually talk about building before we get off on a really big tangent. So you guys first built, you and your partner.
Yeah, we weren't married at the time.
But you'd bought the block of land. What was the building process for you guys for that particular house, for your first home? You went with a project builder for the first one?
Yeah. Yes, we did, yeah. We went with Brook. So we looked at a few designs and a few display homes, and that was probably the best, from memory, that was probably the best one and the best price that we had found. Justin was an apprentice at the time. He was finishing his 4th year. So it was sort of, I think we were doing as much as we financially could.
Yeah.
So yeah, we decided to go with Brook. They had really good, extras and things like that. Yeah, inclusions. So we didn't have the option of doing owner builder. We didn't really think about it either, to be honest with you. Like early 20s, we're just, first house.
Especially the first one, whereas the second house that we'll get into later, you guys, it's completely different. You used a builder, but you also did a lot yourself, and
you have a bit more experience, I think, as well.
A bit more free range in what you did too.
You're a bit older, a little bit more life experience as well.
How long was the process for you from when you guys signed the contract to start to moving in?
I would say, because we started before Christmas. I remember we were going away over the New Year period. I believe it was to Thailand. I think that was when we were moving. We went away to Thailand, and I think we really pushed to get the roof tiles on. And that was over that Christmas period. We moved in the May the year after, early May. So probably I'd say maybe 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Probably about 8 months by the time you sign the contract and you choose everything.
And everything goes through council and all of that.
That's always the longest, I think, going through council, yeah.
This time around, also building in Wollondilly, different suburb, it was so quick for us. I don't know if you had the same experience.
Yeah, no. Oh, the building itself was quick with the second house, but council itself took a while. So I'm sure we'll get into that.
And how did you find that as your first home, like going through the process of picking everything? Like, did you have like a Pinterest board? Did you know what you wanted going into it, or were you completely blind when you rock up to your appointment?
So me and Justin rocked up, and I said, we agreed he would choose all the outside colours. Mm-hmm. I would choose all the inside colours. Obviously, they would have to flow and go with each other. So
that's a good way to divvy it up.
Yeah, he's doing all the outside jobs and I do all the inside jobs, so it's easier. But no, he went in, and I think they allowed us, from memory, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah. We were there for 40 minutes.
Yeah, wow, that's quick.
Yeah, so we just literally went through, and me and Justin are really good like that. We know what we sort of want, and it just flows, and we're just, this is this and this type of thing. And
you're on the same page with what taste you like as well.
We're on the same page, yeah.
And it wasn't a small house. Like, it is 4-bedroom. You know, you had your media room, you had your kids retreat area, you had like your normal open living area, your master, your walk-in, your ensuite bath, like the whole thing.
So I think from memory it was around the 300 square. So I think it was 28. Like when you're looking at the thing, it had like 26, 28 and 30. We were, the 28 option, but I think it's like 28 square feet or something, but it was 300 and whatever, however they work it out. And we had a 704, I think it was, 703 square block. Yeah. So we put a decent sized house on it, but still having enough backyard to entertain and to have kids in the future, you know, because we hadn't had our kids just at that point yet. So, yeah, no, I think we did a pretty good job at a decent sized house.
And what were some of the selections? Is there any selections that you thought once you moved in, oh, I wish I didn't do that, or I wish I did this differently?
Maybe the floorboards. The floorboards we chose when we had the front door open and you were sitting on the lounge and you looked directly down, they were sort of a little bit shiny, if that makes sense. If you had that door open and it was a nice day, you can see all the dust, you can see the footprints, you can see everything. So I probably would have, if I'd known, maybe chose something different. So you don't see a lot of that stuff. When we went in, we upgraded to Caesar stone benches in the bathrooms and the kitchen. And we didn't do the laundry. But we always went in, funnily enough, with a 5-year plan.
Yep.
And we were like, no, we'll stay here for 5 years and we'll rent it out or we'll sell, whichever one. And then a couple of years in, we were just like, oh, yeah, we could probably stay. And we didn't really think about moving or doing anything. And then, we got pregnant, had my first, and she wasn't that much, I think she was only a couple months old. And then we found our new block of land, which was an acre.
Yeah.
Looked at it, put a deposit down, bought it, and then it worked out to have been 5 years we were there for.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah. So we always, when we first built, we always were like, we'll choose things in there that if we, had to live here, that it was, more comfortable, like your stone bench tops and things like that. But we didn't go out of control as well.
Yeah.
In case we do rent it out, we didn't want a lot of nice finishes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that was like our kind of take on my partner's place, because the house that we lived a couple of doors from you, that was originally going to be my partner's investment property. Yeah. And so when he selected a lot of this stuff, it was really base kind of line of what he wanted. Yeah. But we did do the upgrade of the Caesar stone and a couple of different things. I helped in that regard, so did his mum. It was intended to be rented out only. And so we, meaning all of us collectively, didn't really pick anything outside of the standards. And then, lo and behold, once it was built, he was like, I want to move in. Do you want to move in too? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, it's a good test for us to see how we go, isn't it? And then, I think I remember coming down and seeing you guys, and we'd talked, like I'd been talking to Gavin about it for quite some time as well. I was like, I grew up on so much land. I can't see myself. And I think his block was like 460. Yeah. And he, again, had a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, media, open plan living, 2 garage, not much of a backyard. And I was like, I just can't see myself staying here and raising a family and everything.
Yeah. I used to do the same. I said to Justin, you walked into even just the spare rooms, you put a queen size bed in there and one bedside table, you can't really fit another one in. And if you do, you can't open the wardrobes or, it wasn't not what you have in mind for your future type of thing.
Yeah. And because I grew up on lots of land, I grew up on 27.5 acres. I was used to running around in the backyard, having the motorbikes, the big shed, the pool, having people coming over, and you'd have like a bit of a party and the families would stay and pitch tents, you know. That was the kind of childhood memories I have and love. And I wanted something where my kids could run around and their friends wanted to come and spend time.
Yes.
And we were looking at acreage, and I remember coming down and saying to you, I was like, and I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, we're looking at this and this and this. Like, how are you guys thinking about it and doing it? Because you did just have your baby. You're looking at, acreage property and stuff as well. Just got a couple more questions about the first property that you built. So we talked about some upgrades that you did, who you kind of built with, how long the process was. How did you find the process building the first time as opposed to just buying a home and moving straight in, like something turnkey? Why did you decide to do a new build? And overall, how did you find your experience for the first time?
We looked at a few, when we were first sort of looking and talking about, moving in, you had that sort of conversation. We found back then it was, I guess, better off to build, I think. From memory, or maybe I could be wrong, but I don't, we literally started speaking about it, I think, and it just sort of just happened. Like, we were going down to Wollongong, driving through Appen, and I remember the sales centre was there, and we're like, oh, we'll go in and have a look and see how much the prices are. And we were going to get one that was across the road from us, but down a bit further. They were 740 squares, I think.
So a little bit bigger than what you ended up with.
730, or it was just a touch bigger, or 720 squares, sorry. And we were thinking about that one, but because it backed onto the bush, you had a lot of fire ratings and fire restrictions and so forth. And we did have a bow rating, I think it was a 12.5 with our one, but those were obviously more, which then is going to cost you more. So we were like,
the different materials that you need to meet that compliance.
So we sort of looked at it, discussed it, and then the sales lady there said to us, we do have this corner block available. And it had a electricity box in the back corner. So it was a little bit cheaper because of that. And then also in Appen Valley, if you had bought a corner block and you do your landscaping within the 2 years, you get an extra rebate of $5,000. So they just give you $5,000 back. So we were like, perfect.
And didn't they do some of the fences?
They did one of the fences, we had to only pay for one of the sides and then the back fence. Obviously, go halves with your neighbours. But the one next to the street was paid and done by them, which was great. So we were like, okay, Justin's an apprentice. We obviously financially don't have all the money in the world. That's perfect for us. It was $225,000, I believe.
People would be spewing listening to this. Now they're paying like $700 for a 250 square block. How ridiculous is that?
I know. So we just sort of gone, no worries. Put, I think it was from memory, a $500 deposit down. And you had X amount of weeks. And if you didn't, if something didn't happen or you couldn't get your finance, you get that $500 back. So we literally didn't have anything to lose. We just had to dip into savings to pay for that. Did that. Stuffed around a little bit trying to get finance and everything. So
because you weren't really looking?
We weren't really looking. We were looking, but we weren't like, let's look for a house.
Like actively.
So it just kind of happened. But I find that that's how things are meant to be. Like, it just sort of falls into place and it happens. It was a bit of a struggle. Like, we, moved in and we didn't have a lot week to week. We were just on apprenticeship wages, and I was a receptionist. I'm not earning the best money, so we just did what we could, type of thing.
Living off 2-minute noodles, like the uni lifestyle.
No, but we moved in, and Justin finished his apprenticeship, and then just kind of fell into opening up his own company. It just sort of, his boss didn't have the work for him, but his boss at the time had given up a builder as well, and they had the work there for Justin. And then Justin's friend was out of work as well, so it just kind of...
started up and take on that contract and keep going.
Just took the leap, and we thought, what's the worst that can happen?
You haven't looked back, have you?
No.
See, guys, you got to take chances in life.
You do, definitely.
Scary as sometimes they may be, especially if you're just scraping by, paying your mortgage, you've taken all this on. Not to mention as well, for those that are listening, something very amazing, beautiful happened on your pile of dirt before it became a house.
Yes, no, Justin did propose. It was just, I actually don't even know if they were registered then. No, they weren't. We snuck through, and he had been working that day, and he obviously had planned proposing. He was never wanting to propose. He never wanted to get married, and I was sort of like, yeah, okay, cool. So I came to terms with...
You had not seen it coming at all.
No. I was like, yeah, no, cool, sweet. Obviously something changed in his mind. I remember he rang me, and I was just chilling it was at his parents' house, and I was just watching TV waiting for him to come home, and it was raining that day. I'd just washed my hair, and I was just sort of sitting around, and he's like, hey babe, do you want to just come to the block? And I'm like, we went there yesterday. What do you want to look at? There's nothing to look at. It's just dirt. And we argued for a good hour, I reckon. Going back and forth, yeah. And then I remember dawdling. I was like, oh, yep, here we go, whatever. And I got up and I slowly, chucked on a little bit of makeup, got in the car, put some clothes on. I just drove really slow, got there, took my time, and he had my old dog Kelly. Yeah. She was there, and she had the ring attached to her collar. Oh. Yeah, it was very cute. It was cute. It was sweet.
It's quite a nice story. You started your life and built a life there. Literally, you built the house, you just got married, you started your business, you started having babies.
We did a lot in that house. Yeah. If you think about it and you put it like that, we really did, didn't we?
Yeah, you really started building everything from there.
It sort of was a stepping stone, I guess.
Then you were looking at these other blocks. What made you think, okay, other than it being 5 years without you even realising?
No, I know. Yeah, no.
How did the conversation start going, oh, let's look at other places to live, or we want more room, or I like this area over here? How did it go from we're comfortable in building this life to changing it all?
I think we always want more. I think that's, me and Justin always just want more. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we always just want more and better than what we've got.
You're just achievers,
Yeah, I guess
you just want to keep achieving.
So we just started talking about it. My grandparents are at Rossmore, and we grew up at, we're always at their house on the weekends, and they've got 5.5 acres from memory. And my nonno had tomatoes to make the sauce, and grapes to make wine, and all your fruit and veggies that you could think of,
Everything
oranges,
from the backyard.
Oranges and mandarin, everything, corn, you name it, they had it. And that's how we grew up. And there was rabbits there, and you had cows, obviously to eat. And then, they bred German shepherds, and then they had lambs, and it was a different lifestyle. You had our motorbikes there. We had the freedom, so to say, I guess. Yeah. So that's what I was always used to. I was always used to having that sort of big, open space, the freedom to do whatever you wanted, I guess. Obviously not whatever you wanted, but yeah. So then we sort of just were talking about it, and Justin had always wanted a bigger block. And then we sort of I think I started looking on realestate.com. Yeah. Just to sort of have a look and to keep an eye out on prices, I think more so than anything. Yeah. And then we came across wasn't this particular block, I think it was the one across from us. Yeah. We looked at their block. So I had rang the real estate, and we were the first ones to purchase in this street. Yeah, so we had came out, and we were looking at that, and I said, oh, it looks a bit, slopes a little bit, and there's, trees behind, which now in turn are houses. But at that time we were like, oh, not much of a view really. And then we turned around and we're like, well, maybe we'll ask for, wasn't even this block, it was one next to us. And he said that has a dam on it that has been filled in. We said, okay, well, we don't want that one. Then we looked at the ones down the end, and they're 2.5 acres, but they have a lot of restrictions as well because it backs onto a dam, I believe. So we were like, no, that's out. I don't want that. And then we looked at this one, And then he's like, yeah, you can have this one too. This one still has a little bit of the dam, but that sort of cuts into where our driveway is type. Like it's not on the house at all. So that we didn't really worry about that so much. Yeah. So then we put in an offer and we paid $665. I think they wanted $680, $690, I believe, from memory. And COVID had just hit type of thing, or was still fresh. And I remember saying to him, this is our offer. You can take it or leave it. Like, I don't think many people are buying because everyone is scared. So here is our money if you like it. If not, I'll go elsewhere. Yeah. And yeah, he rang me back the next day and said, yeah, they're happy to accept.
Wow, that's great.
We approached a builder that Justin was working with, and we sort of went back and forth because we were going to build with McDonald Jones, I believe.
Yeah, they do a lot of acreage style.
We went up to Newcastle and had a look at a lot of their acreage style display homes up there. There's not like, I think one in Barrel.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
But that's it. And I don't even think it was that big down there.
The one down Barrel, like they've only just recently opened that one back up as well. I think they renovated it. It was down near the Renwick estate that they started down there. Yeah.
But other than that, there's nothing here. So you have to go up to Newcastle Way.
You have to go all over the place to have a look at display homes, don't you? There's nothing out here.
Yeah, so that's sort of like all it is. It's just, I guess it just happened. We're just sort of looking at it, keeping an eye on it, and then we just take our chance. And if it works, it works. Like,
did you find with looking at displays, like my partner and I, we also bought, I think it was maybe a year and a half after you. I can't remember. Yeah, by the time Gavin had decided, yeah, okay, let's move, your kind of estate that you bought in, we're looking at this one and another estate, and all of them were gone except for like a battle axe. And this battle axe you drove down and it was just on this gigantic slope. And he's just like, we drove down, he's like, nope, the other place, like straight away. Yeah, what I was getting at before with the display homes, like I couldn't find any. You look at a builder, and if they built an acreage style home or even multiples, like to actually view them, they were few and far between. Like going from southwest Sydney or the Southern Highlands region, I think you had to go up to like Newcastle or the Hunter Valley to see a couple of them. Even coming across designs, like speaking to a lot of the project homes, because we had kind of a set aesthetic and vision of what we wanted as our home. And a lot of them wouldn't change anything. It was either this is what you get or you don't get it. Like we won't, if we wanted to change, if we wanted, instead of like a 2-door wardrobe, we wanted a walk-in or something, or, you know, we wanted an extra bedroom, you couldn't do it. In some of them, there was just a flat out no. Others, exponential cost to do it. So we ended up going with a custom builder as well, and had given them like designs of what we wanted, and just kind of stuff that I'd found on Pinterest or like Googling online. And I already had this idea of what I wanted. I kind of wanted like the master bedroom away from the kids. And I was thinking about the full life cycle of the home and the stages of life for the kids and family, because we knew that's where we were going to raise our family. We didn't even have a child at this point, may I point out. We purchased this block with long-term visions, and when we kind of came to putting it all together, it was really designing the floor plan yourself. I'm not a drafts person. Like, we gave them photos of like what we wanted for facade.
And then you hope for the best.
Yeah, and they draft some stuff up and you go back and forth and tweak it until you really like it. I know you went with a builder that Justin worked with. Did you pick one of their designs, or how did you build your design of your home?
When we were sort of umming and ahhing who to go with, Justin had previously spoken to Chris, Chris and his dad that owned the home company, and we were sort of like, oh, we don't know, you know, what do we do? So when we went up to Newcastle, we went down south somewhere, like right down past Mittagong. There was 1 or 2 homes right down there as well, like down that way.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the builder now. So we basically went both ways, grabbed as many floor plans as we liked, even if it was I liked the bedroom or I liked the kitchen, whatever. I just grabbed everything, took lots of photos, and then when we were going through it, we started like circling and highlighting which rooms in which display homes that we liked. And then we were getting prices and we were not sure like it was worth it. And so then when we were speaking to Chris again, he basically had said, you know, we'll build it for you if you like. That's absolutely fine. So we decided to go through his company, and it was an agreement of he would only take, I think it was like 50 grand on top of what our materials and labour would cost.
That was his management fee.
Just like a management fee type of thing, which was great. So we then got in contact with his architect that he works with for his home company, because he does a lot of smaller houses. So they do a lot of, they'll build the house, get everything done, landscaping, and then sell it. They don't particularly build for clients, if that makes sense. So we sent everything to this guy, the architect, and I said to him, this is literally everything that we've seen. This is what I like in each of the rooms. We wanted something similar. I wanted the bedroom away from the kids' area. You know, if we have people over, the kids can go, they can play and do whatever they've got to do, or they can go to sleep and it's out of the way. And we wanted to utilise as much of the land as possible as well. So we wanted a longer house, more so than a deeper house.
But mine is different. Mine's quite long in length for the length of the property, and it is still 40 metres across the front, but it's not as long as what yours is. So ours does go a little bit deep.
I think we pushed it as much as we could on both sides. But you know, we wanted, they were my things. I wanted a decent kitchen, I'm in the kitchen all the time. I wanted a decent, so we wanted that. I wanted an office. Justin wanted his boys' pool table, billiard room, media room, kids' toy room, all of that stuff. So we did all that.
A lot of living spaces.
We try to think of long term as well, and even with the kids' bedrooms, I wanted more so, I didn't want your normal wardrobe. So we opted for, especially I've got 2 girls now, but we had one at the time, and you know, I said to Justin, like, Riley's going to grow up with like this tiny little wardrobe. No, thank you. So we did built-in wardrobes for all of, like walk-in wardrobes for all of them.
I was the same. They have to have walk-in. I think any woman or female or anyone who loves fashion as well, not just the females out there, but there's never enough closet space. I remember even when we were at Appen and it was just the 2 of us, I had like, you know, probably more than half of the walk-in, but I had stuff in another like wardrobe in the house.
Well, you remember our walk-in, like it wasn't small compared to a lot of, like when we built that Aidenbrook house, that was like one of the newest sort of styles, like, you know, people were like it was a decent size at that time.
Your ensuite was huge as well.
Yeah, we did like an open ensuite, which was unusual to a lot of people, but it was pretty cool. But no, that walk-in wasn't the biggest. And I remember I used to like my winter coats and like a lot of stuff that you don't use all the time. I literally would put it in one of the back rooms, and I'm like, oh my God.
Agreed. You're always seasonally changing everything. And I'm the exact same. I grew up in a house with 3 girls. Not only did we steal each other's clothes, you'll try and hide them in your own wardrobe. Your wardrobe, everything's falling out. You know, you can't go out unless your room's clean or whatever mum would say. So you're shoving everything in your wardrobe and shutting the door. And I just knew, I was like, I need more space, like for the kids. But also kids are staying at home a lot later. Like we're currently boarding with our parents while our house is still being finished. And imagine if they had to move back in, same kind of situation, and long and behold have a baby as well while they're there. Like you need that space. You need that storage.
We were like at our age, we were like, we can't wait to get out of the house. Like we want to move out. We want to, you know, we want to do all this stuff. And I find kids now like, nah, we're cool. We'll just stay here. Which is fine. I love my kids to stay here as long as they can.
Yeah, but even if they want to get out, a lot of them can't afford it. So you either can afford it and you want to stay at home, let's say, or you can't afford it and you have to go.
Yeah, no, but that was a non-negotiable. I had to have that for the girls.
Yeah,
Or for the future kid. Doesn't have to be girl, but future kids have to have that. And then the other thing was I wanted a linen press in our room. We had a empty sort of space there. Yeah. And we weren't sure what to do with it. And I said, no, I want a linen press there. So I can put my towels, my sheets, all of my stuff. And then through the hallway, where you see we've got a big 3-door linen press. And then there's a single door. Yeah. And that single door one next to it is all of Riley and Zoe's craft and toys and board games and kid stuff. That side. Yeah. Inside. Yeah. But that was a thing, in a big laundry. Yeah. Lots of storage I tried to put through the house. Lots of storage. I still find you go into my laundry and 3/4 of it is empty. Yeah. But I know 10 years down the track, that'll just be filled. Yeah. With just shit, I would imagine, from kids. But yeah.
And how did you find the process with the architect and dealing directly with the architect as opposed as through a builder?
It was easy. Literally he sent me a floor plan back. I tweaked a few things, sent it back to him. And then the next one we chose, we're like, yeah, sweet, this is it. So I think it was really easy because I don't think we did anything drastic either. It was pretty standard, maybe, I would assume. He used to do a lot of, he does a lot of houses down here for builders down here. So, you're not your standard small houses either. Yeah. So I think he must be obviously used to it, I would assume. But, he just got what we were asking for.
Well, from the sounds of it, you were quite clear in saying this room like this and this room like this. Yeah. Now, this is the block and I want it long ways. Yeah. Now put it together so it works.
Yeah, basically. He was really good. We didn't have to... Didn't cost as much as I thought it would either. I think we paid $2,000.
They're not overly expensive for what you're getting. And what about Justin for this house, for the latest house? Did he have a wish list? You had your wardrobes, your linen press, your master down one end, kids down another. What was his?
He was pretty much the same. He wanted the outdoor kitchen. The ceilings in the house are the rake ceilings, so that was for him. He wanted that, which they look beautiful. I was pretty easygoing. I don't really care too much. Yeah. So we've got the high ceilings and then the rake ceilings in our living area. He's wanted his big shed and his pool table room, but he was pretty happy with everything else.
And then going through the selection process, you don't have a small catalogue of things to pick and choose from when you're doing it yourself. You literally have everything at your disposal. Yes. You've got to find what you want, find the best prices, talk to all these different people. How did you guys decide what appliances to get or who to get the stone from or what flooring you wanted? How did that process look as opposed to the first?
I have to say that was probably harder than the first. It wasn't the worst. It was just harder that Aidenbrook have a factory. You go in there, they have everything in their factory, so you can literally just go there and choose everything. Whereas this build, it was... You have to go, this is the tile lady that we use, you have to go there and choose what you like. And then this is where we go for our carpet and this is where we go for this and, so forth. And
that's my process as well.
I found it hard as in you couldn't put it all together, all your samples in front of you in the one go. You had to take it home and you had to wait for the next appointment. And so it was just a little bit more time consuming, I think. But if you know what you sort of want and you have a vision, I think it's fairly easy. Our kitchen appliances, we made a bit of profit from our Appen house when we had sold it. So we used that profit. We had a pool installed here, so that paid for the pool and it paid for our kitchen appliances and, a little bit of money back on the mortgage, which was great. And then a friend of ours worked at a kitchen company, appliance company, I should say. So he just said to me, go to Winning Appliances or just have a look at what you like, send me a list of everything and I'll get a better price for you basically. Wow. So I went off to Winnings, had a look at everything and then went from there type of thing, just sending him everything. So it was pretty easy. We wanted black appliances, your black stovetop and your black ovens and tapware.
That's kind of the theme, more of the monochrome kind of theme in the house, your white and blacks and those kind of shaded tones.
So, yeah, I guess you could say. So we had like the grey carpet, the grey tiles. I did at one stage want polished concrete floors.
Yeah, so did I.
I really, really wanted polished concrete floors, and Justin really liked it as well. But then the more we looked into it, the more I found the kids drop something on it, or if I drop something on it and it chips it, it's really hard to fix.
Does it stain or anything? Like if you were to drop like a red wine or...
Yeah. So if you drop a red wine on it and you don't literally clean it straight away, it's it. You stained. Yeah. So we were like, no, not with children. Not a chance.
Great decision.
So we went with the really big, I think they're 900 by 900 tiles. I think they're huge, like the really big tiles Justin wanted, which was fantastic because they look great. And they were as close to that concrete polished look anyway. So yeah, no, everything was sort of easy, like it all went with each other, but it was just time consuming, I think, finding everything and then taking it back. And I like to be organised, so I like to have it all done in one go, whereas this didn't happen like that.
No, I agree. I feel like my experience, I had a very similar experience to yourself in that I had to go to here because, these are our tilers, or this is our carpet people, whatever. I did have an initial consultation with, I think it was like the designer or interior designer. I can't remember exactly her title, or colorist or something. And that's where like we picked handles, door handle, doors, carpet, timber, maybe, I can't remember anything else. Just general little things. But then, the bricks, I had to go have a look at the display or...
Oh yes, we went to Austral Bricks. I think I went all the way out there. Well, it's not really that far, but I remember going out there like 3 times because we couldn't... We had a vision in mind, but I couldn't find the brick that I like. And I was like, it's not what I wanted. And then I'm FaceTiming Justin and he's like, no, I don't like any of those. And I'm like, I don't either, but this is all they've got.
I guess like, because with mine going through the builder still, it was like, here is your range or your selection. And I knew the style of the house. And then you're looking at the range and you're like, none of these are it.
Yeah.
None of them are it. What do I do? Like, there is literally nothing. And then you have to go look at all the other things. And then there's upgrades and additional costs and all that kind of quotes that you got to wait for and go back on. But I found through the selection process, it wasn't too bad for a lot of stuff. And from even the day dot, I remember getting out of the car and meeting the owner of the company and saying, this is what we want in regards to floor plan and the facade of the house, like the structure, we know exactly what we want. But when it comes to the fit out stuff, like I had one company say to me, what kind of cabinetry doors do you want in your kitchen? So they could quote to build. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. And even when I went to the kitchen selection, I'm sitting there and they're like, so what do you like? I was like, I don't know. Like the kitchen got me so hard. I was so blanked on the kitchen. I struggled. Even after going there, I was so overwhelmed. And I said to Gavin, I rang him because he was at work. I was like, I'm never doing that by myself again. Like it was so full on.
I know, it's hard. I had to go and do it all myself as well at first. And we've got the darker cupboards.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily want darker cupboards. No. But I didn't know what I wanted. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know what I wanted, but I didn't want that. But then as soon as she showed me the colour, I was like, that's fantastic. I love it. Yeah. I'm going to go with that. Like, that's great. But I don't know. I just never, I
was torn because we've gone the modern farmhouse and you can either really go like that real country kind of Hamptons, get those shaker cabinets and all those details and stuff throughout the house, or go real minimalist. Yes. And we're quite minimalist in the fact that we don't have a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like we spend money on quality stuff, but we don't have a lot, if that makes sense. And we loved the square set instead of the cornices. Yes. Like we only have cornices in the kids' bedrooms and I think the garage,
that's what we
maybe,
did.
or maybe even in the study and the media. But all the rest is square set. Even around the windows, we don't have architraves. We've gone plaster set there, and we just kind of went with like a key feature in each. So when it came to the kitchen, Gavin was really like, wanted these shaky cabinets and all these profiles, and I was like, I don't know, I feel like it's really in at the moment, but it's probably going to date really quick. And I was like, I don't know.
That's another thing. You don't want to spend the money and do something that's in now, but it's going to date in 10 years time, and then you're going to want to look at it and go, I got to redo all this and it's going to cost me more money. Like,
especially the kitchen. And the kitchen, I think, because you know it's the heart of the home, and everyone goes to the kitchen, everyone spends time in the kitchen, and you want to make sure it's right. And I'm just like, oh, so stressed. And I just knew like certain things that I wanted. And the way that the kitchen was designed on the original plan, it kind of wrapped around in a U shape with the island bench. And I was like, and the fridge and freezer was where the opening was to get into the kitchen around the island bench. I was like, nah, not happening. That is just like a traffic jam waiting to happen in the kitchen. Move that away from that entry, and I want 2 entries. So make it an island, give it another entry point into the kitchen, and then you got your walk-in, and I've got the freezer and fridge in the walk-in. But then that it still had like this little U shape at the back and the islands at the front. So it had these corners, and they're not practical. Like, they're so hard to get in and out of. If you've got corners in the kitchen, like, you know what I'm talking about. So I originally wanted no upper cabinetry, and I just wanted a floating shelf.
I remember at that point when you were talking about that,
The kitchen company I went to, not only did I not know what I wanted in a kitchen, they were so stressful. They have been stressful this whole process. They do not seem to get it. Even mark up drawings for them of everything, and they still cannot get it right. The quotes that they get, like, oh, for one floating shelf, it's going to be, I can't even remember off the top of my head how much it was. I was like, $3,000. But to delete the cabinetry, I'm going to get 1,000. And I was like, how does that make any sense?
that doesn't make any sense at all. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Doors, shelving, supports, like all this material and labor, hinges, whatever it is to put in there. And now I'm asking you to do one shelf. Like in a timber look, whatever. Anyway, so I still was adamant I'm deleting these top corners. And so I was like, okay, we'll keep the cabinetry on the back shelf, like up the top at the back of the kitchen, do 2 floating shelves that adjoin into it. And where those corners were, have them open wine racks or something.
Easy.
No, wasn't easy. Apparently they can't do the wine racks in the corner. They wanted to do the wine racks next to the floating shelf that attaches into the corner. And I was like,
were you able to
how?
Go to a different kitchen?
Why? No. And this is the one thing about the builder, and I just said to them, I go, they are horrendous. They were so bad. And actually I had to meet the builder to go through everything. Like, I did a full consolidation of the joinery, the whole lot. It was the biggest headache. Anyway, the style that we ended up going for was just basic cabinets in the kitchen. And then the island, I did, one side's got the waterfall, and then it, flat over the top. But I've done a curve on one of the corners, and the joinery down the bottom also follows that curve. Also what I did, because you know how I said I do like a feature in each room, I did a profile finish to the back of the island. So it's like a little cove finish. Yeah, so I'm really happy with the island. I knew the island what I wanted from day dot. And I knew I didn't want the sink on the island. I wanted to be able to treat it like another dining table or servery.
It was the same, Because I don't know if you remember my Appen house, I had the sink in the island.
Yep, so did we.
It was great. I didn't like it though. Like it was great for that time, but we were entertaining all the time. We had people over, and you didn't have the room to put everything.
If you're an entertainer, do not put your sink in your island bin.
No. God, no. No way.
That's what I found. And because people are over, and then you've got this whole mess, and so you're trying to clean because it's sitting there in the middle of everyone, this mess. So you clean it, but then you're cleaning while you should be, you know, with your guests and your friends and family.
Not even that. You entertain and you got all this food. Like, we literally put everything on the island now. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of like grabs everything. Like, if we had the sink there, we wouldn't have the room to do that. What colour did you go with the stone?
I think the stone's quite similar to yours. I didn't want big veins or any colour that will be too much.
I seen one and it was like these big dark veins and it looked fantastic when I seen it at the place I seen it, but I'm like, not here, no way. I couldn't do it.
And also in 4 years' time or in a year's time, yeah, you're going to get over it. And even the stone guys, because they give you like the little swatches, like a paint swatch to pick the stone. And I said, I'm not doing that. I can't pick. I need to go to the stone place. So I actually went to the stone warehouse or company or factory, whatever you want to call it, and looked at the big slabs. And the one that I thought I wanted, when I saw it, I didn't want. I wanted. They showed me another one and said, this one. This is better for what you want. And then had the floorboards, the paint color, and the 2 cabinet colors. So I ended up going ultra white on the island to go with the stone, but then the other cabinets aren't ultra white. I can't remember what the color is. It's different. So it still ties in with the stone. It's like maybe like a grey color.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. I'll see when I get it.
Our Appen house, we had like I remember it was like an off-white, but it was more like grey tone. So it wasn't quite white, but it was nice. I think if I had to choose something like that again, I probably would.
So I'm hoping, you know, white kitchens, I don't know, really tend to date too much. So it's not white as such. I shouldn't say it's white because I still do have the timber shelves and floating shelving cabinets, and the cabinets are a different colour. And then the islands, you know,
Nice.
a bit of a feature. But I found that the most challenging thing to select and go through. And then even after I selected it, I just sat with it and stared. I was like, did I make the right choice? Am I going to regret this? Did I make the right choice?
It's hard because you don't know what it's going to look like. It's scary, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's like, we're building big houses. We're not building, like, you know, if it was an investment property or a little house, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, cool. You'd have a different mindset, but it's a big house. It's your forever homes. You're pouring money into the house. You know, it's not a cheap house.
No,
it's not.
Talking about features, so my partner only had a couple of like things that he wanted in the house. And one of the big thing, again, was the double rake ceiling or the chapel ceiling, whatever you want to call it. And he wanted that in the living area. Always wanted that. And ours goes from the veranda. You open the door and it's just high pitch, and you can see this high pitch run all the way down to the back of the house. And it goes all the way out to the back of the alfresco. But before you get to the alfresco is actually our fireplace. And then you've got the bifolds on either side and the high level windows. And we've decided that we wanted a stone cladded fireplace. So when you open it, you see the stone cladding, right? Yeah. And at the front, you've got these brick piers that we're all like, yeah, we'll stone them too. Do you know how bloody hard it is to find a stonemason? Yep. If there's anyone out there listening and looking for some work, become a stonemason. Yeah. It is so difficult.
It is. We've struggled choosing a stone, and then that's why we ended up rendering it, because we were like, but we also then thought to ourselves, I think it'll look better rendered. Justin never really liked the rendered sort of look.
I think it suits your house.
But it does, Once we decided to do it, we thought, if we don't like it, we'll just stone over the top of it. But it looks good. In hindsight, looking at it all, I believe you made the right choice. I think it looks great. Definitely.
And with ours though, I've actually was on the phone this morning to a landscaper that does stone work, which funnily enough we went to school with. Yes, Alysha and I also went to high school together. I won't mention names or the company.
I think it's someone that I know. I think I know who you're talking about, because I had asked them to come here to do our landscaping.
Yeah, right. So I contacted him and he's like, yeah, for sure, I can help you out. And when I sent him this note, he goes, you know that's expensive because it's not like your standard stack stone. It's the crazy kind of paved stone, right? Like you're literally putting together this giant jigsaw puzzle, 5.5 meters in the air. And the piers, though, the big ones at the front, we're like talking about cost and the whole cost of it all. And this is something that we're doing. It's like, have you thought about different stone? I was like, not really. Like, we had our heart set on this stone from the design of the house. And we just haven't found anyone to really price and do it. And even still, he was talking about possible render at the front, but it doesn't really suit the house and those piers. I said, and the thing is, you're walking through those piers, which will be stoned, in through the main entry to open that door and see a stone-cladded fireplace. You don't want two different types of stone. It has to be the same.
No, you'd have to have the same, yeah. You couldn't have something different. No. It wouldn't flow. It wouldn't look good.
It would just look dicky and stupid. So I said, okay, well, let's get the fireplace sorted first because we need to get them in before they do the floors.
Yeah.
Let's get that sorted. We'll get the stone at the same time so it's from the same batch. Once you give me the quote, I pass out, get over it, start saving some more money, sell my leg or a kidney or something to pay for it.
Start an OnlyFans.
Then we can, no way. Ain't nobody want to see that. But I was like, we can do that later on. Like, that doesn't have to be done straight away.
No, you can always have it later, but at least if the stone's the same, from the same batch.
There wasn't much that my partner really wanted. Like, we widened the hallways.
I think guys are really easy though.
He knew he wanted 5-bedroom. I knew I needed a study. We got a lounge, we got the kids' room, we got the other living open. The only one thing I wish I did already is I wish I had another room for a gym.
Yeah, I get it.
I wish I had a gym. Especially now being a mum. Like, I wasn't a mum when we designed this home. I was expecting, but wasn't. Now I'm a mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need a gym.
Yes. I know what you mean. I wanted a 3.5 car garage, or at least a 2.5, something. I just wanted more than 2.
Yeah.
I did lose on that argument though. Not that we didn't argue on a lot of, if anything, really, but that, because Justin was saying to me, no, we've got the shed out the back, like it's a big shed. And I'm like, yeah, but there's stuff that I don't want in the shed, or I'm not walking to the shed every day to get. But in theory as well, we're not parking 2 cars in there either.
But I'm sure once I move in, there's going to be other things that annoy me. Yeah. But we really tried to think about the design and the kids and the growing up. And as much as I like our minimalist modern farmhouse style, we also tried to do it in a way that what we selected isn't going to date, or isn't going to date for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think that's really important with how much money we spend on the homes. And that's what I keep saying to the builders about certain things, like, and why I was so adamant on the structure, because it is so easy to paint the wall if I don't like the colour, but to move a wall or add a wall,
it's either impossible or it's too hard.
Yeah, there's just a lot to kind of take in when you're building a house, and especially when it's your forever home. If it's an investment, you kind of just go with the project builder and the basic inclusions.
Yeah, even just like a simple thing of like the bathrooms. You're like, yeah, no, cool. That'll work. It'll be fine.
A little thing for the bath for me, like, my mum is not a clean freak like you are. Anyway, that's different. That's a different topic in a different episode.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But mum is always like, oh, that would be a pain to clean. That would be a pain to clean. So when I'm selecting things, I was thinking about it. And even the bath, I was like, I want a back to wall bath. Even though it's freestanding, it's like back to the wall on that side. So I don't have this little gap around the back that I can't get in and clean.
He went to the Highgrove bathrooms, and I thought it was so weird, me and Justin, when we went in there. And the guy there was really helpful, the store manager, and he goes, he said to Justin, he goes, go sit on the toilet. If you like that one, sit on that toilet. And Justin's like, what do you mean? We thought it was so weird.
Yeah.
But the toilet that we had liked, Justin's like, this is not comfortable at all. And then I thought it was weird. And I'm like, well, I might as well sit on it now. But it felt so strange. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't comfy at all. And then the bath, he was like, lay in the bath. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not getting in and out of all your bathtubs. And he's like, seriously? I tell people to do it all the time.
Because you got to think about what's practical and what's comfortable.
Yes.
You know, you're in there all the time.
Yes. Yes, that's what he said. And I'm like, I would never have thought about that. Never.
It's not just about what looks good.
Yes.
One of the things that I added in was a sliding door, and it hides and pulls into the wall. But that is at the end of the hall before you get into like the main living area.
Yeah.
And I did that for separate the wings of the house, but also for heating, cooling, acoustic purposes and stuff. So
We find with the only thing I think I'd change now is, which I think we're thinking about doing, the fireplace, because we've got it in the wall. We're thinking of pulling it out, putting it in the corner, like right next to it, and having a freestanding fireplace. Because with these ceilings, it's so hard to get the heat. Like, it's winter and you put the fireplace on and it's warm, don't get me wrong, but it's not like warm like you would think it would be, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Because the heat obviously is rising and it's going straight that way, but if you have it in the corner, it's going to get the whole area and the whole room.
Room a little bit more. Yeah, circulates better. Well, I guess the only other thing I have to ask, I don't think you're going to be building again because this is your forever home. Would you do it again, and would you recommend it to anybody? Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I love building. Yeah. So when we were building here, I had fallen pregnant.
Yes.
I fell pregnant and I had Riley's birthday party. So it was around Riley's birthday, which is September. I think we had fallen maybe around that sort of time. I remember knowing around that time. And the slab was poured the end of October. So we literally had started this whole thing. So the whole process throughout building, I was pregnant. So we were coming back and forth and it was a lot. I remember being pregnant and I was like 6-7 months pregnant and traveling from Campbelltown down to Thelmere, and it was, 30-40 minute travel there and back every day, dropping Riley to school, heading down to the block, seeing the concreters. Justin and our boys did our frames and stood our frames and everything. But it's a lot, like traveling back and forth to meet trades and to oversee all the build and it was a lot.
So while you were building, you were pregnant as well with your second daughter.
Yes. Yes.
And how was that process, like being pregnant? You were selling your house at Appen. Was that sold before or after?
We had sold it. No, we had sold it.
And then, you're buying, and you're renting too. You had sold it, and then, you're buying, and you're renting too, weren't you? So moving from the rentals and everything, storing stuff, designing this house, like going to all these different places, picking it all, and you're pregnant. And you also had a toddler.
Yeah. So we had done the whole process, like we chose our layout, did all that, like at our Appen house. We then thought about renting and keeping the house. But at that time, it wasn't very smart. Like Appen it's not like a place where there's a lot of buses that go through, like wasn't the best option for a rental. And especially for what we wanted for the rental and what was appropriate for the house. No one was going to pay like $650, $700 for the house.
Back then, now everyone pays that for a unit, like a tiny one.
Back then at that time. But back then, and then as soon as we had sold it, we settled in the March, and I think the rental crisis and all that, like everybody wanted to like rent a house and everything. That was like mid that year, I think maybe, or towards the end of it. So like if we had just kept it,
I think because it was through COVID,
we would have been laughing.
I think because it was through COVID when you built too, and a lot of people moved back home or back out west and got away from the cities and inner west, and in this, well, Sydney's quite huge, like even where we are, a lot of people would go out, so there wasn't really a need for rentals, and they were dropping the prices. And I remember my sister picking up her place really cheap actually with rent, Now it's just skyrocketed.
Yeah. Because we were always thinking we'll get a rental, you know, an investment property, and then we thought that would have been perfect, but not the right location. Because, you know, when you're picking out investment properties, it's location, right? But in theory, it would have been so good to keep it if we had known. But we made the decision to sell, so we did that. And then we rented a little house. Wasn't very big because we were like, we're not going to be there for long. It's fine. It'll be great. And then the build itself didn't take long.
Yeah.
But council did. Now, when we were going through council, our next door neighbour's house is in the middle of their block, sort of.
Yeah. Step back a little bit.
Yes, and I don't know what happened, but council had come back to us and said, no, we want you to move your house back. We said no. So it took a long time going back and forth with council and, you know, we basically turned around to them and said, no, you guys gave us a building envelope to build in. We had done so. If you wanted to move us back, you should have done so in that building envelope and outlined that that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
You didn't. We built within this, you know, too bad basically.
Yeah.
This is what we're building. And then it took a very couple of months going back and forth, and then we finally got it approved and they're like, yeah.
Did it have to go to mine subsidence as well?
So yeah, we are on mine subsidence here, so I think that all played a factor in it as well.
Right, okay. And then the build.
Just going back and forth because Wollondilly is supposed to be one of the worst councils with that stuff. That's what, you know, everybody says. So I can imagine, you know, someone finally gets, you know, the documents on their desk and they think, oh, we'll do it another day. Don't worry about it. And then finally they get back to you and then you have a look at everything, you get back to them and then it's just a longer process. It's not like a quick one day type of thing.
Like, I don't understand Wollondilly Council. This is like a complete topic for another day. But just quickly touching on it, there is so many developments out here. So many. Like, it is overdone.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is not caught up. From what I hear from other people, they're now not letting any further developments or anything happen because we actually don't have the sewage systems. We don't have the access to water. I feel the process that it takes to get a house through was really long. Since COVID and everything, these estates have been popping up left, right and centre. So many people out here. I want to know, what school are all these kids going to go to?
100%.
What high school are the kids going to go to?
Yeah.
You know, the infrastructure of water and sewage, the roads are absolutely atrocious. I reckon they are probably the worst roads I have seen in the state through all my travels. There is not...
Oh, and the land rates aren't cheap either.
The rates are definitely not cheap.
I just paid my rates and I pay them yearly. I just paid $3,000. About $3,000. $3,000, which is fine. Look, I'm on an acre. I chose to get a bigger bin.
No. But what do they do for you? What do they do for you? They give you a bin?
That's my thing. I don't mind if we were getting more. Like, so mum and dad are at Mount Annan. They have all 3 bins go out every single week. All 3 bins. We have alternating weeks between grass and recycling. And I think to myself, their rates are cheaper. Doesn't make sense.
You look at where your parents are. The facilities are pathways. And also,
Doesn't make sense.
you look at where your parents are. The facilities are pathways and parks. What have we got here?
Yes. Nothing here. Nothing.
Like there are some suburbs. Like if you were to compare Camden Council and the facilities they have for the people around them and the parks is ridiculous. It's amazing. Wollondilly so far behind. I don't know how it works, but that if you're from council, please like reach out, DM us and tell us how it works, because as people paying ridiculous amount of rates and not really seeing anything for it, we do not understand what you do or how you do it. But you finally got that approval for the house.
Yes. Finally got that through, and then by the time you tee up between, you know, your builder and when you can do everything and start everything. So,
The pandemic. Did the pandemic affect your build at all? Because it was...
Not that I...
Because it was 2019, 2020 or 2021?
2021.
20 to 2021. Yeah, you were building.
Yeah, so we like bought and everything 2020. By the time we started was 2021. So like I said, we had our concrete slab poured the end of October. Right. So it would have started maybe by the time they benched everything out, did all that stuff, it would have been like September, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, and you moved in 2022.
Yes, yeah.
And that is when little Zozo was born.
Yes. So that was a whole thing because we were traveling back and forth to come here, and because the builder just had like a management fee, we were here every day almost.
You were doing a lot of management as well yourself.
Pretty much. Yeah, so Justin stood the frames with our boys, our workers, and then my uncle, who is also a carpenter, had come and with his crew, and they did the roof together, which I think it took them a day from memory.
It's a bloody big roof.
Yeah, but we had quite a lot of boys here, so they smashed it out, which was really, really good. The frame itself, I think Justin was here maybe 3 days, standing the frame, making sure everything was like, great. So we were here like all the time, checking trades and checking deliveries and making sure everything was all good. And then towards the end of my pregnancy, I was getting sciatica, my leg.
Pressure on the nerve, down your leg, getting it all done, yeah.
Yeah. And then just traveling back and forth all the time. I was tired. And then my obstetrician was in Liverpool, so it was kind of like on some days I'd go all the way into Liverpool, see the doctor, and then come all the way down here. Like, that's about an hour. You do it though at your house, I don't know. Helping trades, do things here and there, and our plan was to try and get a lot of the landscaping done before we had moved in. However, the weather was very shit.
Yeah, you would have got smacked with a lot of rain that year.
We had put our pool in throughout the build, so throughout the process. That was installed, and then we were going to pour the concrete. And the concrete sort of wrapped around near where the door was to go out of the laundry. And our retaining wall blocks are there. So we were hit with those days where it was raining really, really heavy. That almost flooded. So if we had had the concrete done, our house would have got flooded ultimately.
Well, it was only because it was natural soil that it actually filtered through and absorbed it.
Yes. Justin's got a video and it was just flowing over our blocks, and nobody had rain like that here, so you don't think you'd need that side of...
Yeah, and the drainage wouldn't have been established next door or in your side either. So.
No. And our next door neighbours, they were already moved in, but they got the drainage that they thought was okay, not knowing...
that we're going to have all this rain.
Yeah, so then because it slopes down, like the street goes downhill, we obviously had copped all of their stuff. So that wasn't fun. And then constantly, trying to keep it clean in here because trades walk in and out with their dirty boots and their mud, and it was a lot, but it was good.
And so when were you actually moving in? Tell us about the week you were moving in.
Justin was working. He's busy with work all the time, all the time. So we were getting close to having the baby, and we were pushing to move in before we had her. Yeah. She was due the second week of June. Yeah. The third week, I think, mid-June. Yeah. Oh, the same day as Justin's birthday, sorry. That was her due date. The same day as my husband's birthday. Yeah, I know, I should have known. So we were pushing to move before, and I started to feel very done with the pregnancy, and I hadn't felt that with Riley, but I was like, I'm just over this, I'm done, I want this kid out. Get her out of me. And then I was packing boxes and trying to do as much as I could because Justin was working big days and, coming down here and doing the stuff at the house and going back and forth, and it was a lot. So I was trying to do what I could and pack as much as I could. But yeah, so I remember I had an obstetrician appointment that day. So I had gone in, went there, I went to the cemetery to put some flowers at my grandfather's grave and everything. Did all that, got that all out of the way. Got home, started packing a little bit, came down to the block, you know, met a couple of trades, did a few things, got Riley, went home, did the whole dinner thing. And we were planning to move like that next morning. We had removalists booked in and everything. And then put Riley to bed. She was going to go to my brother and sister-in-law's for the day. So I got her bag ready. It was all done. Packed the car and we were sitting down. And I remember it was when the new Top Gun movie was coming out.
Okay.
I remember it because of that. And I said to Dustin, the movie's coming out. That wouldn't be too bad to go and watch. And he had told me he'd never watched the first one. So I said, well, we've got nothing to do. Why don't we just watch it?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, sweet. So he's, true Justin style, fallen asleep halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there. I felt like a pop.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was obviously my water's breaking. But I had not known that because when I was pregnant with Riley, I got induced. Okay. So I had never experienced that before. And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Yeah. And then I was like, I probably need to go to the toilet. But I didn't want to get up because of my leg. So I was like, I'll just sit here a little bit longer. It's all good. And then I was like, no, I actually think I need to go to the toilet. So I went to the bathroom and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm in the bathroom and I'm going, babe, I'm trying to wake him up and I'm yelling out like, Justin, like, and he's snoring. He tells the story, this part differently. He thinks something else was about to happen, but it wasn't like that at all.
He thought you were frisky as or something, did he?
He thought I was called, I don't know what he was listening to, but it wasn't me yelling out his name like that. He thought I was going, babe. Wasn't like that at all. I was yelling out, babe, like that. 2 different tones.
Full aggressive.
Yeah. Trying to get him up.
He's having a really good dream. That's why I didn't want to get up.
So I rang my mum. My mum was close by. I rang my mum. My mum was close by. So she came to watch Riley and Justin starts panicking and we head to the hospital. Yeah. Gave birth.
Yeah.
Gave birth.
I like how he starts panicking like it was him that's about to give birth.
No. I was putting on a load of washing. Mum was going to put it in the dryer for me. I was making her a cup of tea. I was putting rubbish in a bag to throw in the bin, like getting organised because in my mind, I had everything ready for the removalist and I knew what I was doing the next morning. Yeah. You know, like I had a bag in the sink full of rubbish and I knew what was, you know, as soon as someone comes in, like if I just left, Mum would have been like, what do I do here? Type of thing. So, you know, Justin's in the room and he's throwing all this shit in Riley's bag, but I had already packed her bag and it was just a whole thing. So we had the baby the next day at like 9:30 in the morning and then they wheeled me into the room and Justin left to come back here.
And start moving. That's crazy. Okay, so before we go anything further into pregnancies and births, for those that are listening, tune into the next episode. We will discuss that. But thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about your experience in building your homes. And I'm glad that you enjoyed the experience.
What some people...
It can be stressful, but you just got to be organised, I think, and really have an idea of what you want and what you're after and understand your budget because whatever number they give you, it's not going to be the number.
It's always going to go up from there.
That is the base price. No matter what they say, you're going to go in and you're always going to put things on and upgrade. So thank you. And hopefully you guys can tune in next episode to hear about Alysha's birth and pregnancy stories.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Project Life Podcast. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe or follow on any of the listening platforms where you stream your podcasts.